Wow, wow, wow. What a day it's been for Palantir and Palantir investors. Honestly, it's been absolutely crazy. Q3 earnings came out today and it's been mad. We have seen Palantir stock go over 20% on the day. Right now, let me take a look. Right now, we're up by 17%. So absolutely crazy. So let's talk about these Q3 earnings. I don't really know where to start. It's quite a lot. So firstly, let me just say congratulations to any of you Palantir investors who have been investing and seeing the value in Palantir as a company and will buy in when the stock was $6, $7, $8 and have been continuing to do so because you see its value and its potential. Today is a good day for all of those people. If you are only just starting to understand about Palantir and you're only just starting to build up a position in your portfolio, that is okay. We are still very much at the start, so please don't panic, don't FOMO, don't worry that you've missed your opportunity. Today's a great day, the stock's pumping, but there'll be days when it goes down again, there'll be days when it goes up. Palantir is still very early in its public company trading days. It's still a growth stock. It's still incredibly early. So don't worry, you haven't missed the boat in my opinion. Okay, so firstly, they basically absolutely smashed earnings. They beat the top line, they beat the bottom line, they beat guidance, and then they raised guidance moving forward. Across the board, they did really, really well. And I think this earnings is by far the best earnings that they've ever seen in terms of actual numbers. But also there were some really, really important pieces of commentary that we're going to discuss and forward-looking statements that we'll get onto later on in this video. Looking at the stock, it seems like right now Wall Street are also seeing what we're seeing and they are getting really excited about this. But please remember that the stock surge that we are seeing is not just purely because of these Q3 earnings results. Palantir did extremely, extremely well, don't get me wrong. But the 20% surge that we're seeing, I don't think is just down to them beating their earnings. Maybe I would understand if they went above and beyond to new degrees. We would see this sort of attention. But we also have the macroeconomic situation. They have released these earnings at a very good time. We heard that the Feds are pausing interest rate hikes. We know that the macroeconomic seems to be in this area where it is now switching. Things seem to be getting a little bit better. Obviously, time will tell, but that is also baked into this stock price going up and across the board. Go and look at a lot of stocks today and you will see that quite a few of them are having pretty decent days. But still, it's very clear that people are really liking what they've heard. It's given people a real bullish feeling. Now, we may see that the stock actually starts dipping as people start to sell, take some profits off the table. All of these things do affect it. But in this video, I want to give you the most important points from this earnings. If you don't have time to go and watch the entire call, look at all the presentation decks, read the letter from Alex Karp, don't worry, I've got you covered. And in the next few days after today, I will continue to deep dive into some really important things as well. But let's start with the fact that they have $3.3 billion in cash and security with absolutely no debt. And that is in this current economic environment. So they are very, very financially sound. This is really impressive. They also reported a revenue growth of 17% year over year, coming out to 558 million. This is mainly being driven by the US commercial clients, which saw a 33% revenue growth, but it is still really good. And I think this will only get better with time. And you can see from these graphs here that I'll throw on the screen, revenue growth is coming primarily from US commercial, but commercial in general is really, really strong at the moment because businesses are wanting AI solutions. We have heard, we all know, we feel ourselves that AI is like the next big thing. We are hearing it from everywhere. Every single company wants some involvement in AI, whether they're creating tools themselves or they're looking at how they can use AI to improve their business, to improve the top line of their business, the bottom line of their business, or in the case of some organizations, they're looking for how to utilize AI into in order to literally save lives. So I'm not surprised that the commercial side of Palantir is growing at a really, really good rate. It is growing quicker, we can see, than the government side, but that is still also moving in the right direction. But it's clear that right now they are focusing their efforts on the US commercial clients because that is where they are seeing real potential and real growth. We saw the customer count grow by 34% year over year and US commercial customer count growth of 45% year over year. So some really, really impressive, strong and great numbers there for us Palantir investors. Right, now for this next bit, I want you to hear fireworks in your heads. The whole deal, the bangs, the whistles, everything, as I'm about to say this next part that we learned from the earnings. And that is Palantir announced GAAP profitability again for Q3 and are now officially eligible for S&P 500 inclusion. This is what we have all been waiting for many quarters, and it is here, it is happening. When will this happen? I don't know. It's not going to happen overnight. We are not going to see them in the S&P tomorrow or even in the next couple of months, I doubt. I'm thinking more 2024, maybe even late 2024, 25. I don't really know how long these things take, but it's definitely not an overnight deal. But hey, they are now eligible based on this GAAP profitability. And you know what's really exciting is looking back at Tesla. Tesla got added to the S&P 500, I believe late December 2020. Go and look at their stock and see what happened to Tesla stock after December 2020. It went crazy. Now, I'm not saying that it only started increasing at that point because of S&P 500 inclusion. Not a chance. Many factors came into it. They were doing amazing work. But what I am saying is that S&P 500 inclusion can be really bullish and can be really great for a stock. And I know for me, the S&P 500 inclusion was something and is still something that I'm really excited about for Palantir. So I can't wait to see what happens when they actually get included. Institutional money and ownership will come flowing in. I think that will only help Palantir. Average trailing 12-month revenue per top 20 customers grew 13% year over year and went from 53 million to 54 million quarter over quarter. Now, this is good. Growth is good. But what I will say is I would quite like to see a little bit more diversification in the future as to where their revenue is coming from and not seeing so much of it coming from their top 20 customers. The reason for this is because I don't want them to get over reliant on just a few customers. Because like I was saying in one of my last videos, I don't remember which one I post so often on here. If one of them pulls out or 3 of them, 6 of them, whatever, they lose some big customers, it could really impact their revenue. And I would like them to become a little bit more diversified, but I also understand that in the early stages of a company, you are going to have those really big customers. And what is this saying that's good? Well, it's saying that those big clients of theirs are willing to pay more and more as time goes on for Palantir's help, Palantir's value, Palantir's products. And then we saw this here. During Q3, we closed 80 deals of at least $1 million. 29 of those were at least 5 million and 12 were at least 10 million. So they closed 80 deals in Q3, which is a massive increase from previous quarters. So that's absolutely fantastic. We like to see that growth. But then you look at this chart here and you can see that the customer count went from 421 to 453. So 32 customers were added, but they closed 80 deals. Now, if you're thinking about this without diving in, you would see 80 deals and you would assume 80 new customers, but that's clearly not the case. They added 32 customers. So this means that some of those deals that they're making are not translating into new customers. Why is that? Well, I think it's because it's not new customers. Some of those deals are coming from their current clients buying more. Their current clients being upsold, looking for new ways that Palantir can help them. Perhaps AIP. We'll talk about more about that in just a minute because that is so important from this earnings. But yeah, they're doing more deals with Palantir, I think is essentially what's happening. Now let's move on to some of the commentary that was given. I think the commentary during this earnings call was absolutely fantastic. The whole team were on point and they delivered some really great information. They were so confident. It was incredible to just hear how confident they were about their company, about the growth that they're seeing, about the future of their company. And they had the numbers to back it up this time. It was really, really great to hear. But there is one thing that stood out to me more than anything else, and that is AIP, Artificial Intelligence Platform. They couldn't sound more excited about AIP if they tried. And I honestly think this is going to be the one product of Palantir's, unless anything else comes up in the future, that will truly take them to the next level, that will make them such a valuable, massive, massive company in the future. They made it clear, and they've done it time and time before, that the demand for AIP is massive. But they've also had great software for a very long time, before even AIP. But the problem that they've had is they haven't known how to sell their software. They haven't sold their software very well. But that seems to now be really changing. So why can they now sell it? Well, a few different reasons, but one of the big ones is AIP bootcamps. From this call, and I'm going to quote this, we heard 70 bootcamps will happen in November, in this current month, which is more than all of the commercial pilots that they did last year. If that doesn't show you the demand and the growth, I don't know what will. So the growth is there. They're getting amazing feedback. Their go-to market strategy with AIP seems to be incredibly efficient. It seems to be working. Palantir's CFO on the call today said the energy and engagement around AIP is unlike anything that we've seen. Then they went on to say, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that was in reference to the AIP bootcamps attendees, what they're saying. So the people that come to these AIP bootcamps are seeing how valuable AIP is, and then they're saying, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you are shown the value, you want it. You are going to go back to your CEO and you are going to say, we need AIP. We need Palantir's AIP in our business right now because it is so, so valuable. So when people are worried about AIP not being monetized yet, just know that their strategy seems to be working. They seem to be scaling this, they seem to be growing it. And at some point in the future, when they switch on that monetization for AIP, I don't think customers are going to run out the other door and say, hang on, no, we don't want to pay for this. I think the other thing's going to happen. They're going to say, we will pay you what you want because we are not getting rid of this. This is too valuable. Karp said himself that some of these boot camps are now taking only 6 hours, but the value and benefit for customers and for Palantir going out of these is really, really great. So usually they last between 0 days and 5 days. But the fact that they're able to do them so quickly and they're doing them globally, so many of them, 70 in November. Was it 70? Yeah, 70 in November is incredible. And this is because the customers are being able to adopt AI into their businesses because they are having a lower barrier to entry. And then they also said, and listen here, this is where it gets really good. They launched AIP 5 months ago, and AIP is already used by nearly 300 in 5 months. Organizations across sectors ranging from energy to finance, hospitality to healthcare. They have literally tripled their number of AIP customers in 1 quarter. Now, of course, when something starts taking off, you do see that initial uptake and that initial growth really quickly, and then it sort of plateaus off. We know that S-curves, everything like that, but it's only just getting started. It really is. And if we look at the Q2 earnings presentation, we see a few AIP clients listed, Cleveland Clinic, Jacobs, HCA Healthcare. But now the presentation, it shows an array of different customers. So this is growing quickly. They also made some really interesting remarks about competition during this call. Karp said, my view is that we should build products that are so good that the competition stops competing, whether in commercial or on the battlefield. And that's what they're seeing in AIP. Products so good that the competition stops competing. I think they really are on a new level because a lot of their so-called competitors, if you want to think of them as true competitors, it's up to you, are acquiring different businesses in order to compete. Whereas Palantir, just like Tesla have, they're keeping it vertically integrated. They are building and developing research and development into their own products. They are not acquiring other companies to do this for them, acquiring products from other companies. They are doing it themselves. And that is a real benefit to Tesla. And I think that we're going to see that here as well with Palantir. Now, obviously, remember that AIP is not yet monetized, like I was just saying. And unfortunately, in this earnings call, we didn't really get any new information about when that would actually happen and what that strategy would look like, which was a little bit disappointing, but we did have a lot of good information as well. So We'll let it go. We'll let it go. Okay, another quote from Alex Karp. This was in his letter. So in his letter to shareholders, he said, companies across industries in the United States are scrambling to deploy software platforms that will allow them to leverage the power of the latest large language models. And we have now built what they need. Every large organization in the markets that we serve is a potential customer, and we intend to work with them all. So this is kind of referencing the total addressable market, which is with Palantir absolutely ginormous. It's massive. So the customers, the market is out there. All they now need to do is grab it, and they just need to scale. And another thing that's really interesting is Palantir are actually quite a small company in terms of the number of employees they have. I think they're sitting at under 5,000. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you know how many employees they actually have. But it's not that many compared to some of the other big companies. But they've said we continue to do more with less. The revenue we are generating per employee has nearly doubled in the past 4 years. Our engineers have built our software platforms, and it is now those platforms that are driving the value that we as a company create. So that's really great as well. Now, we didn't have, unfortunately, guys, I can't bring you any new NHS information today. We haven't heard. I know a lot of us were really hoping that somehow these paths would combine, would have good earnings, and we'd get an NHS contract announcement. Hasn't happened. Like I've said before again, that announcement will very much come from the NHS themselves, not from Palantir. We don't know what's happening with that yet. It's still, I think we're going to be looking at mid to late November now, honestly. But tell me what else you want to know. What else do you as a Palantir investor need to know about the earnings? Drop it in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to continue to make more videos about this in the next few coming days if that's what you want. And if you want to continue this conversation about what all these earnings mean, what I'm doing with my portfolio, and what like-minded Palantir investors are doing with theirs on this news, consider joining my Patreon. You'll get access to the Discord chat server, and you can come and chat with us. I'll leave a link in the description below. I hope you have a great day. I feel good. This is good news. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video very shortly.